What's up, everybody? It's time for your great balls of fire. I don't even have to say 2017. You know what? I don't care what anybody says. It's the greatest name of all time, dang on it. Because I don't even have to say the year. You just know. You just know what pay per view this is, baby. I'm telling you. Great balls of fire, greatest pay per view of all time. Goat emojis, whatever you want to put to name it the greatest. I'm naming it the greatest, dang on it. I don't care. I don't care about the name. I don't care. Dang on it. It's better than TLC or Money. Anyway, sorry, my fault. I mean, bruh, whatever. Great Balls of Fire, 2017. Just in case you do need, the date or the year or whatever. I got you. I got you on the day as well. But this pay-per-view was actually pretty good. I felt like as much as, and I felt like it was gonna be just because I felt like everybody ragged on the name so much that they kind of lost sight of what was actually on the pay-per-view. So I was definitely excited. I knew Brock versus Samoa Joe was going to be interesting, and at least make me want to watch the pay per view if nothing else. Um, I know we had the first ever Iron Man tag team match, which I think we mentioned this in the predictions. We weren't sure if this was the first ever one or not because, like, I mean, tag team wrestling has been around for so long that you would think it's happened before, and it's actually it's kind of surprising that it actually has never happened before. Um, and then we had what else? Strowman and Reigns in the ambulance match was pretty nice. We had an impromptu match that mattered a lot, obviously. Um, but anyway, let's jump right into it. Let's jump to the pre-show match. We had Neville, the king of the cruiserweights, going up against the tightest worldwide branded Akira Tozawa for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. I definitely, I like this match, and I feel like a lot of times the cruiserweight division, especially with Neville and the main event, and some of the matches that they have, like gives you so much hope for the cruiserweight division. But then, like, you remember that it's on the pre-show, and it's like, why is it on the pre-show? Like, I'm fine. I've always said this before, and I know Casey hates pre-show matches. I'm fine with pre-show matches as long as it's not a championship match or a match we don't give two craps about that was thrown together at the last minute. I would be fine with no more contenders matches being on the pre-show because they don't have no more contenders matches on pay-per-views at all. It feels like anymore, unless like Brock doesn't show up for a pay-per-view, so they kind of just have. But other than that, they really don't have them anymore when there's another championship. You know, when there's another championship already on the line. But whatever, definitely a good match though. I definitely liked it. I watched this match kind of on and off. I had to take my dog out of kind of at the same time, so I had it on my phone. She was running around, and I was throwing the ball and watching. It was multitasking at its best, baby. I mean, I'm telling you, I can do it all. I can do it all out here. But Casey, thoughts on the cruiserweight championship match?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it was yeah. I missed it.
Boo, boo, Brandon.
Shut up, Brandon.
I missed the first couple minutes of the match. I was helping a buddy fix some steaks on the grill, and I missed a couple minutes, but I did catch a good portion of the middle and the begin and the end, and I really liked it. I kind of the finish was kind of. And the way Neville cheated, that's obvious because Neville's a heel. But it created a desire to see a rematch between him and Tozawa because I really thought Tozawa, looked really good in the match, and it was
I still,
it was a good pre-show match.
well, it was a good pre-show match, but I still feel like not that Tozawa quote isn't ready, but I feel like from a booking standpoint, Tozawa isn't ready.
Well, there's nobody. You think about it in that cruiserweight division. There is nobody, in my opinion, who is on the level
The Neville level, I got you.
on the Neville level. I think Neville is probably one of the best wrestlers, not only in WWE, but one of the best wrestlers in all of wrestling. I think he is a great wrestler. I think he does a really good job. I think he's been hitting it out of the ballpark ever since he came back last December.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, because, well, and I think that's one of the biggest issues with the cruiserweight division and with the majority of the divisions, which we said before, hate to beat the dead horse, but still, we've said it before, they all like WWE especially always books the top two people fighting for the title the strongest, and then everybody else is just kind of there. So then when the next contender comes up, you're like, well, he's obviously not gonna win.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. You think about it. We had 3 consecutive months from February until May of Neville versus Austin Aries versus the recently departed from the WWE Austin Aries. And since then, Neville's kind of been floating in between opponents. And it's almost like, they get one opponent and they beat that horse to death. And then they go on to the next one. And I just don't know. It's weird. It's weird what's going on now. I don't know what they're doing with the cruiserweight division. I just feel like it's almost, stuck in, well, not even stuck in reverse, just stuck in neutral right now, just spinning their wheels. And
Well, I think the thing about the cruiserweight division that it always has been, I mean, even if you go back to WCW, it's always been about, wrestling.
It's been about wrestling. It's not about storyline.
Yeah, and I think they somewhat made it too much about storylines. Like, I mean, because when you think about it, one of the best feuds we've seen. Let me get that out.
It's easy for you to say,
right? Has been Neville versus Austin Aries because it was just not at my level. You're not as good as me. That's it.
Yeah, it was a good story too. When you think about it, Neville had been out for good almost like 4 or 5 months with that broken bone in his face, and he came back, and Neville was basically saying, you know what, you're not even in my league. You've been out for a long time. He said, you're not there. You're not that kind of guy. You're not that wrestler anymore. It was a good storyline, and then they just they had rematch after rematch after rematch, and and every time Neville got the win.
And it was kind of good for Neville too. I think like as much as Neville has already elevated the division, it feels like it also feels like that also elevated him because he was able to beat Austin Aries 3 times.
Yeah, he beat Austin Aries 3 times.
Yeah, that's the most he's beaten one opponent, and especially someone who we all know is as accomplished as Austin Aries.
Yeah, Austin Aries, a former world champion. I mean, the guy has the goods.
Let's move on, I guess, to the main show. We had Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins. I still, for the life of me, can't figure out why this is happening.
I don't either. A lot of Bray Wyatt stuff makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's already happened. Well, Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor made a bunch of sense till they were like, nah, we're
Balor
good.
wasn't even on the show.
I know. I think they were chanting, "We want Balor" during the impromptu match that we'll get to in a little bit. But I love it though because it was a good match. I felt like it was a good match. I just felt like there was no reason for the storyline to be here.
Yeah, the storyline makes no sense.
Yeah, it was definitely a good match. I feel like Wyatt needs something. I don't know what it is, but he needs something.
Well, he did get the win, so that's a plus.
Yeah, I mean that shocked me. I was really surprised that he got the win, but he did get the win.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder where he's going from here. I guess I think that's the thing that gets me thinking. It's like, where does he go from here? Because Bray versus Rollins is fine, but there's no reason for it. It's not like it's a kind of a number one contenders type of scenario because you would think that was Roman, darn it.
You're all tongue twisted.
Same thing. Roman versus Strowman.
You mean
that's what it was. I was trying to rhyme too much and it was getting in my head. But you would think that was, from the ambulance match because there was more on the line there, but still.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's a weird feud because really all Bray's feuds are basically him just spouting off nonsense. They're lying to you, man, and talking about he's going to save everybody, and Seth pretty much said, I don't, you're not a god, you're a fool, or something like that, and then shockingly, Bray did win tonight, which was a shock to me because Bray. Other than that House of Horrors match that he had, back in well, I think what was the pay-per-view after WrestleMania. Ever since that, I don't think he's really won a really big significant match since. So but yeah, I'm glad he got the win. But I felt like the whole feud, like you said, DJ, I agree with you 100%, was completely unnecessary. I think the Balor Wyatt feud has a little more juice to it because it's something we've never seen.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that.
All right, Casey. Thoughts on Wyatt versus Rollins?
Oh. Well,
Same. I mean, that's it. That's all you gotta say.
This is the match that I came in on. And first of all, screw Michael Cole right from the beginning. I don't know if you guys caught this, but there was a clear jab at Morrow when he said, "This show is in fuego." We all know that's something Morrow says, and Michael Cole has never said that. Ever.
Was it a jab or was he like paying homage?
Well, I'm gonna hop in really quick. This is what I've heard. This is hearsay, but apparently Michael Cole and Morrow are pretty good buddies, and Michael Cole's the one who actually got Morrow into the company. So maybe it might have been like a tongue-in-cheek little kind of friendly jab at Morrow. I don't. If it was JBL saying it, I'd say yeah, that.
No, it's let's just hate Michael Cole because LOL Michael Cole.
Oh well, I mean Michael, really, honestly, the goodwill, the goodwill he had evaporated after that horrendously too long heel run he had between 2010 and 2012. And
I mean, but we can't lie, like he wasn't great as a heel though.
No, he was okay, but he got very old.
I mean, he ain't Josh Matthews' goat shirt or nothing, but
oh god.
I just hate Michael Cole in general because granted, good, he is better when he doesn't have Vince in his ear, but you look at the time he's been with the company and how much he's advanced in that time. It's not enough.
Oh, it has not. It definitely. When you think about, going from Jim Ross to Michael Cole as your main play-by-play man, it's a huge step down. Jim Ross tried his best with Michael, and Michael really was heading to stride. But then I really think his career was ruined in WWE when they abruptly changed JR and Michael Cole from Raw to SmackDown. I think that really, really made like the fans hate Michael Cole with a passion.
But you got to remember, and this goes back to the discussion we had last night. I know Casey probably knows a little bit more than Brandon does, but we talked about this. Like Michael Cole, and it goes back to a similar discussion. There's no one taking Michael Cole's job.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So, you can say he hasn't advanced and you can say that, but are you going to cut the TV off because Michael Cole is on it? No, you're just going to mute it. You're still going to watch it. So,
yeah.
And it goes back to there's no one that's going to take Michael Cole's job. So, does he really need to advance? Is there a need for it? No. He just thinks that everybody's haters.
Well, the thing is, honestly, I think it has more to do with the man in the headset than the man who is has the headset on down near the ring. I think it has more to do with Vince because Vince apparently is a humongous micromanager of commentating, which I've never understood his commentating philosophy in wrestling, where you pretty much talk about nonsense instead of actually calling the match in the ring, which is that's fine to actually talk about backstory, but they talk all backstory and talk about things that really have nothing to do with the match.
But I mean, like even more like the more what I was getting to in that the time that he's been in there, he hasn't like learned and advanced. Like he still calls moves wrong. He still can't call a match fully, it doesn't feel like. And he's been with the company for so long that you would think
20 years, I think, this summer, almost 20 years ago today.
you would think he would learn these, what move this is or what move that is. He still messes up moves and calls wrong spots and things like that. It's like, you've been there for 20 years. Like, you should know. I get like the guys coming in from the indies, with new moves that you maybe haven't seen before, but like, he still screws up the Pele kick.
Yeah,
Well,
he's always done that
but
too.
then again, is he supposed to be perfect? Because
nobody's perfect.
Like Brandon said, JR wasn't perfect during that G1 Climax special. Now, I'm not saying JR is not one of the greatest commentators of all time, because I would be lying. But was he perfect? No. Did he get nearly as much criticism as if Michael Cole was to mess up DDT, a arm hook head driver? Probably not.
Okay. One time he did call a DDT a bulldog. I do remember that, and I was like, "Dude, that is ridiculous that you call that a bulldog." But with Cole, like I said, it's times he has been great. It's not like the guy's been complete, utter trash the whole time he's been there. When he was with Taz on SmackDown back in 2002 to 2003, his commentating was actually tremendous. And at times he's been a good commentator. It's not like he's been garbage the whole time. He just, like I said, he has occasional flashes of brilliance, but there is one thing he does, and then I'm going to be quiet about this. There's one thing he does that drives me insane, is he cups the end of his headset when he talks sometimes, where he sounds like he's muffled. And I know that he does this because I can hear him do it. I've been commentating long enough to know when this happens. He cups the end of his headset when he's like, when something big's about to happen, and it sounds ridiculous. I don't know if you guys noticed, but he did it a lot tonight.
Real quick, big shout out to Chris watching on the live chat. I can't say his last name, so I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to butcher it. Christopher, shout out to you. What's up, buddy? Yeah, give Cedric a chance. I agree. Give that man a chance. He deserves it. I agree.
Anyway, back to my thoughts on the match. We got off on a tangent there.
Of course. I mean,
it's okay.
Before I get back to the match, JR is the greatest of all time, and if you disagree, you are what I like to call wrong.
Yes, I agree 100%. He is the best.
But Bray actually won, and like, I found myself not as surprised as I should have been, because I still don't care about this match. This should have been Finn versus Bray. I love Seth, I do, but nobody wants to see Bray versus Seth. It's not as intriguing as Bray versus Finn. Like, I still don't understand why WWE started that, and then we're like, nah, let's throw that away.
It's weird about Seth when you think about it. Ever since he beat Triple H WrestleMania, he had the feud with Samoa Joe, which made complete sense because Samoa Joe was the one who put him out of action.
Yeah.
And but then he really has had nothing, and then they looked like they were setting up a Finn Balor Bray Wyatt feud. That one promo they had, where they were setting it up, and then they just completely dropped it. It was very, very bizarre set of circumstances.
Too, I feel like they didn't do a good enough job on SmackDown as well. When Bray was all alone, they didn't do a good enough job, pushing him. At first they did.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like they did, when he switched brands. Oh my God, it's Bray, and then they was like, nope. Like,
yep.
I feel like that's kind of what they did on SmackDown too. Like, at first, I even freaking wrote about it. I was like, this could be a good, time for Bray to step out and be, live up to his potential finally, just because he's alone and he's on that kind of I guess not smaller, but as far as duration, smaller brand, but. Let's move on from Bray before I get really sad, because he's one of my favorites. Let's get into the match that was exactly what we thought it was going to be. Big Cass versus Enzo Amore. First off, and I usually don't talk about video packages doing these, but I think they done goofed on this one. I'll be honest. I feel like they messed up this just a little bit, because I feel like they should have kind of showed not necessarily that Enzo was more dependent on Big Cass, but that I felt like they could have played this card a little bit better than they did. First off, I think they split them up too quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Second off, I feel like during the video package they could have played more of Enzo struggling and scratching and clawing to get where he needed to be, and then finally he found Big Cass. They worked together, and it was like it was magic. All of that, like continued with the whole story. I feel like they didn't necessarily tell the whole story in the video package, which I didn't like. And I felt like it was a little lazy, in my opinion, just me.
Well,
Also,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Real quick, I felt like this turn should have happened. I think this turn would have made more of a splash if Big Cass and Enzo were still together. They would have won the number one contenders match, even challenging Sheamus and Cesaro, whatever. They would have challenged Sheamus and Cesaro, and Big Cass would have turned on Enzo, ruining that last final shot they had at the titles, which every fan wanted. I felt like it would have made a little bit more heel heat on him. They could have did the attack angle. That's no issue. But I felt like they should have had one more match, one more time, with this tag team going for the titles. That's what everybody wants. That's what all the fans are clamoring for. And if they're not going to give them to him anyway, whatever, but make Big Cass a star out of that.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good point. And I have to add really quick, I picked up on this after this happened. But when that attack initially happened on Enzo, Corey Graves mentioned on commentary that he'd love to shake the hand of the person who attacked Enzo. And later on in the show, just a couple segments later, Cass comes out and confronts Corey Graves, and they supposedly bury the hatchet, and he shakes Corey Graves' hand. I thought that was a great touch. And I have to say, I really never was fooled for a minute to think that it was anybody but Big Cass that attacked Enzo. I thought that the whole thing just reeked of a heel turn by him. And I just, like I said, you did mention DJ. I really think they did turn him too quickly. They split him up too quick. They've only been on the roster for about 14 months since they came on the main roster night after Mania last year. And I actually like the promo package. That's one thing WWE is so good at. They are good at putting these promo packages together before these matches to build up hype. And we'll talk. I definitely want to talk about one of them later from the main event between Joe and Lesnar. But like I said, it was it is what it is. It was a good promo package. I think they put across of Enzo being crushed by what Cass did, and if I had to describe what we saw, and the promo that he did before the match, Enzo did before the match, was pretty good. I liked it, and the only thing I can say is I only have one word to describe this match, and I'm going to spell it out for you right now. SQUASH, squash. That's what it was. That's exactly. It was a complete squash, and it's exactly what it should have been. Because in all honesty, it would have made no sense. It would have been completely just ridiculously unbelievable if Enzo even had a chance, snowball's chance in hell of winning that match.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Big Cass versus Enzo. First off, with the promo, I didn't get to hear like all the promo, but I remember when he started and he was doing the whole "My name is Enzo Moore and I'm a certified G and a bona fide stud," and he can't teach that. I was like, "And this right?" Oh wait, I forgot. I legitimately I forgot all about it for a second, and I was just kind of in the flow of everything, and I was like, "Oh, oops, sorry, Enzo." But I definitely like the promo. The match was what we expected it to be. Big Cass nominated. Big Cass threw him around, much like he always does. I don't like that Big Cass, and I get it's gonna take some time, but Big Cass is so generic.
He is generic. He does have Enzo.
Yeah, like black shirt, freaking. I can't remember his freaking tights were black, so I can't remember. But I mean, it was just generic. His entrance was generic, just walking down, holding his arm up. I was like, bro, did I create this man on WWE 2K17 or what? Like, he just looks like somebody you just create and just put a generic entrance on him and have him walk out. But
This is a creator wrestler.
yeah, like I was like, really? I just felt like it was kind of generic, especially for a guy they're trying to push.
Oh yeah, you can tell Vince likes the guy. I mean, remember last year when they had him get thrown into that impromptu four-way match for the vacant Universal title after SummerSlam? When it was Big Cass, Owens, Reigns, and Rollins.
Yeah,
And he actually looked pretty good in that match.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you can tell that that a lot of the Vince likes the guy, and I think he honestly has some run, but he does. He looked generic can get tonight with those tights and the shirt and the Titantron. I mean, I did like his theme though. His theme, I actually do like it.
I have to go back and listen to his theme. I couldn't hear it when I was actually watching the show.
I mean, it's no Mike and Maria's theme. It isn't glorious like Bobby Roode's theme, but it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Brent, did you have any more thoughts on that? I know Casey kind of dropped out for a second, but did you have any more thoughts on that?
No, that's pretty much all. I mean, that's all that needs to be said. I mean, it is what it was. Cass won pretty easily, and that's how it should have been, and that's how it was.
Agreed. Moving on, I suppose. Okay, it's not gonna work, is it? Not working. Anyway, moving on while we wait for Casey to come back in. His computer probably like died on him or something. Because technology and stuff. Oh, he's back. Okay,
yeah,
before
he is.
We're just gonna run around in circles for a little bit until Casey puts the thing back up. But Casey, did you have any more thoughts on Big Cass and Enzo, or should we move on? Because I mean, I feel like we can. Like I feel like it's no issue.
Did you talk about the match itself yet? Because
yeah, we talked about how it was typical and how it was, just what we expected it to be. Like exactly. Like I feel like we all could have booked this match exactly how it was.
We'll see. I did like Big Cass's new music. I did.
Mm-hmm.
The match, not so much. I just feel like, and this sucks because I love Enzo, but I feel like they doomed Enzo with this. He's never even gonna have a shot at any push at all. With this, like first of all, they never like we were talking. I think in predictions.
I feel like where would you put him?
They should have at least given him some single wins while they were teamed together. The chance at the thought, he might be able to find a way to win. There's no chance he's ever going to beat Cass. It's not going to make sense. There's just no way he gets over in this, and he just continues to get killed. And
I really don't see this having a shelf. I don't see this having any kind of shelf life or any kind of duration. I think this is pretty much. I think that was the end of the feud.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it should be the end of the feud because it has all the makings of a good feud.
In the ring, at least. In the ring.
Yeah.
I think this just, like I said, it dooms Enzo because after this, what are they going to – Vince isn't going to want to do anything with Enzo. I mean, initially he liked them because they were entertaining. In ring, Enzo is okay. He's really for the most part, he's entertaining on the mic.
See, that's where his strength's at. That's where his strength's at.
That only gets you so far. Like you have to. I just don't think they'll book him well at all, and he'll end up either going back to NXT or maybe putting him back in another tag team. Zone doing well.
Well, yeah, between you and me, I really think that the money for him is going to be not wrestling, but being a manager or a mouthpiece. I think the guy can talk a blue streak, and I really think he has a great career in line for a manager.
Yeah.
I think he really could do some great stuff for somebody, heel or babyface.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
couldn't imagine him
Well,
as a heel though.
that's true. Let's move on to the first ever tag team Iron Man match that I still can't find the first fall off of. No, I actually saw it, but like, it felt like forever. I could not find that first freaking ball. But Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Hardy Boys with a Z. 30-minute Iron Man match. I'm gonna give this to Casey first because I thought it was good, but I couldn't find the first fall, so I got to go back and watch it. Obviously.
Quick and sudden first fall with the brogue kick. The Hardys, but I really don't. I found myself not being able to get into this match as much as I wanted to. I don't want to see the Hardys face Sheamus and Cesaro anymore.
Yep.
Stop. Like, they need to move on to another tag team or do something with them. It's just, I just in general still don't really like Sheamus and Cesaro. I still think they're a weird tag team to me. Said 10 beats of the boundary. I don't know what that is.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, he did. I was like, what is the boundary? I don't understand what that is. Also, Booker said man classic, and I was like, how can it be a classic if it's the first one? If they have
I mean Booker T says a lot of things that don't make sense.
Like, what if they have another one and it like blows this one out of the water and you just said this one's a classic and you can't say that about the first match. Like, you can't do it. You just stop it, Booker. I do. And then you say things and I'm like, no, stop it.
Yeah. Well, Casey, I'm going to piggyback off what you said. When you said about Booker T and about Michael Cole, there's something I picked up too at the end of the match when the match was over and they were heading to the next segment. They said, Michael said, this was one of the best tag team matches you will ever see. I'm like, no, I don't know about that. There have been better NXT title matches featuring the Revival and DIY from last year. But and then also Booker. I love Booker as a wrestler and as a human being, but he is a not so great commentator. But this match was, it was fine for what it was. You brought up a great point. I'm just sick of seeing these guys fight each other. These guys have fought each other is this the third consecutive pay-per-view they fought each other?
It seems like the fifth.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, and they fought each other on Raw as well. I remember.
It's crazy. It's almost like
2 out of 3 falls, I think, on Raw.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Well, you really think about it on Raw, your tag teams are slim pickings. I mean, you have Cesaro and Sheamus, the Hardys, the Club, who are pretty much jokes.
Who was that? Who was the Club? Haven't seen them in like 3 years.
Yeah. They're like pretty much jokes now. Anderson and Gallows. They're just basically just absolute. They've been reduced to jokes. And I honestly have to say, and Heath Slater and Rhino, I mean, it's not a very strong division, tag division over in Raw right now. And, it was a fine match. The deciding fall was kind of lame, where Cesaro stole a pin after Jeff Hardy hit the Swanton. It was kind of clever that they got the pin off of a kind of a fluke or a lucky fluke, but it was what it was, and it was very predictable that when they got what they were going to do at the end after that.
I think. Like, obviously, it was cool that it was like the first ever tag team Iron Man match, but match, like for an Iron Man match, it was weak to me.
Yeah,
and also I just in general just kind of talk about the tag team division. it sucks for me being a Hardys fan, like since I was a kid, in the Attitude Era and then early 2000s, there were so many tag teams. And even when like the Hardys were in a feud with Edge and Christian or the Dudleys or whatever, matches with other tag teams during that feud. It's like now, if you're in a feud with somebody you ever have a match with, and it's like it kills the fans. It makes us like we just said, we've seen them face each other too much.
Yeah.
A feud going, you need to have them feud other matches with other people. Like push your other tag teams. That's the point of having a tag team division, is to more than just two teams.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I'll use an example. A couple years back, when I remember, like, I think 4 consecutive pay-per-views, the world title match was Alberto Del Rio versus Sheamus. And all of those matches were so mind-numbingly boring. I mean, so boring. I mean, I've never found Del Rio interesting. And I just, especially now with this crazy Pero WWE bashing that he's going through now. But I said, it's weird that they keep putting these guys together. This is the one thing I said that was going to kill this brand extension deal is you have the same guys fighting over and over again. And they did this before the brand extension too. That's something that WWE, I just don't think they can break out of, is they got to have the same guys fight each other at least 3 times.
And that's what the brand expansion was supposed to do. It's supposed to like broaden, the people, and so many guys didn't get a shot that are on TV every week. It's the brand split is not doing what it needs to do.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's repetitive matches. You have, guys like Orton in the World Championship matches. You do have a new champion in Jinder Mahal on the other side, which really came out of left field. But that's SmackDown. But Raw, the people in your title, and we'll definitely get to one later on in the show that's even more repetitive than Cesaro, Sheamus versus the Hardys. Yeah, I have a lot to. I definitely have a bone to pick with that one.
I think I know what you're talking about, but we're gonna continue. We'll move on. Well, I really didn't talk about this match. Real quick, I thought it was good. I mean, I'd probably say okay as well, just because
the right team won.
Yeah, even though I hate Cesaro, I think it's what we were calling him at one point.
Cesaro.
Like, I hate him, but yeah, and I don't even hate him in like a heel way. I just hate him, and because they just don't make sense to me. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really understand that third fall. Not third fall, but the last fall either. Like I get it, but I was kind of like, that's
kind of lame. I thought it was going to go into overtime.
It felt like they got falls so quickly.
Yeah.
Too. Felt like it. Like it didn't even feel like it was a 30-minute Ironman match. It felt like it went by really quickly. I don't know why, but it did.
It went by very fast.
But moving on to the Raw Women's Championship match, Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss. Alexa's tights need to chill. I'm just saying.
They don't. They don't.
Man, I'll tell you, that girl, she's got it going on, man.
She does. Man.
She's got it going on, man. Whew.
And she also got that weird double jointed thing she does.
Oh God, no.
That made me freak out. I looked away for a minute, and I looked back, and I was like, "What in the hell is that?" And I forgot that she's done that before.
Yeah, she does. She does that. I think she catches everybody off guard because we kind of forget. And then we're like, oh God, no.
She is so freaking good, man. She makes up for her lack of size. I mean, the girl's barely 5 feet tall, and she is just outstanding what she's been able to do in the ring. What she's done in such a short amount of time.
But
yeah, I mean, I think she's good too. Like I enjoy watching her, especially just her being being heelish.
mm-hmm.
Like she does a good job with it.
And she's
She
such
like
a good promo too.
she walks it so naturally.
Yeah.
Like she just comes out there and you're like, I could see that. And I that's what I love about her too. Like I feel like she goes with it so naturally, and
and she's an
it's
absolute
unfortunate
sweetheart in real life too. That's the thing that's so crazy. She plays such a
Yeah.
great bitch character, but she's a sweetheart.
Yeah, freaking that sunset flip powerbomb was ridiculous too.
Oh, that was insane.
I was like, was that a sunset flip powerbomb or about to be a Canadian destroyer? I'm just saying, which one?
It was
Which
a
one you
sunset.
want?
I would say it's a sunset flip powerbomb, but it could have been a setup to a Canadian destroyer.
I mean, I think she should have just brought out the Canadian destroyer. I mean, I wouldn't have told anybody.
Oh.
But definitely.
I'm a big fan of both women, and I thought that was a good match.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of the finish, but I did really like. I love Sasha, love Alexa. I think both of them did great. Honestly, that match was much better than the Bayley Alexa matches that we saw. I think those matches had little to no heat or any kind of pop to it, especially that kendo stick match. But like I said, I like it because it's going to keep the feud going, and I think both of these girls have some good chemistry together in the ring.
Yeah, I still kind of want Bayley versus Sasha at SummerSlam, but I don't know if we're gonna get it.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were going to get when this year began. I said, okay, SummerSlam's going to be in Brooklyn again. Sasha and Bayley is going to be one of your co-main events for SummerSlam. I thought that was going to be, one of your big matches at SummerSlam this year, but doesn't look like that might not happen. We might get a multi-woman match instead, but
stop it. No, don't tell WWE that. Stop it. No.
All right, I take back what I said.
I don't want no. Like I'll take a multi-man match or a multi-woman match at freaking Great Balls of Fire, but at SummerSlam, no.
Great Balls of Fire.
but
no, like I said, it's a long show. You have to remember, SummerSlam's a 4-hour show, just like WrestleMania, which is stupid. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, Alexa and Sasha, good chemistry tonight. It's been a while since I don't think these women have ever fought each other on the main roster.
No.
So I like it, and like I said, it was what it was, and hopefully they'll keep the feud going.
Casey, you got any thoughts?
Well, correction. I was at WrestleMania. It was like 6 hours. Oh God.
That was a long WrestleMania.
Oh my God. But
and the preview.
it was okay. The ref is absolutely terrible. He needs to get Sasha off Alexa the second she gets on them ropes. I was like, bruh, you need to break that up. She is a goddess. You need it.
Yeah, it was some very shoddy officiating tonight. A lot of ref you suck chants. Yeah, the refs got the crowd got on the refs tonight, pretty much all night. But yeah, I do agree. Alexa is a goddess.
The arm drag off the ropes by Sasha looked a little bit botched. Something about it just didn't look right. Alexa, okay, we've seen her do like the double jointed shit with her arm before. We've seen that. Her bend it that much. I legitimately thought her like elbow was broken. I was like, oh God.
Oh, it caught me off guard because I just looked at the screen and I said, holy crap. I said, her arm looks like it's going, 90 degrees the wrong way. I was like, that is crazy. And it's so funny. My buddy ruined the surprise for me. He said, oh, she's done that before. I said, oh, well, crap. I forgot all about it. But no, like I said, I really think that this has some juice to it. The thing, unfortunately, is I really think as popular as Sasha is, Sasha should be a heel. She is too freaking good as a heel.
Yeah.
And Alexa never should be a babyface.
But like, I don't know. I like the match. I didn't like the ending and the finish. I did like the fight after the match, which could continue this feud, which is a good thing. Why couldn't they go through the announce table? Like, why?
Because they were saving that for Brock and Joe.
There was no reason that didn't happen. You have like 5 announce tables.
Oh yeah, they have. Oh yeah, they could have taken it over to Funaki's table.
Yeah, they could. I don't understand why they teased that and then didn't do it. Like,
yeah, it was kind of a jip. I do kind of. Yeah. Oh yeah, they definitely could have. Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, they could have put. Sasha could have put Alexa through that announce table because I mean that announce table was all the way over near the ramp. Nobody was going to come over there after that.
yeah.
So yeah. Now you think about it. So sometimes I still forget that Raw's announce table is up near the ramp instead of being down at ringside.
Agreed. Yeah.
So I kind of sometimes get thrown off by that.
But moving on to the Intercontinental Championship match, which I think is the match that Brandon was extremely excited about. We had
super excited.
The Miz and the Miz Taraj, formerly known as Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, and his wife Maurice, going up against Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm going to give this to Brandon first because I know he loved it, and I'm going to give it then to Casey, and then I will give my thoughts on the Miz Taraj.
Okay. Well, first of all, let me say the Mr. Raj, I like it. I like Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas being able to do something now. And Miz has really been hitting it out of the park ever since last summer. And I really think he's probably one of my favorite parts of the entire product right now. I never thought I'd ever say that. Somebody would have told me this probably a year ago. I would have said you are absolutely crazy that I would say this a year later, but I think he's one of the best parts. Love Maurice. Maurice, she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, not beautiful people, but I think they're really good characters, so they have something to sink their teeth into. And I do think that Bo Dallas should be a part of, should be teaming up with Bray because he definitely looks like a Wyatt member now. But going to the match now. I hate saying this because Ambrose is still a main part of WWE, but I am beyond sick of Ambrose. I'm sick of Ambrose. I'm sick of him fighting Miz. Miz and Ambrose have fought each other about as much as Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have in the last 2 years. It is unbelievable how many times these guys have fought each other in just the last 8 months. Unbelievable. And I hope to goodness this was the end tonight because how many more opportunities is Ambrose going to have at the championship since he lost it? I mean, you think about it. I mean, tonight that should be the end. But knowing WWE, they'll probably have a rematch tomorrow night. But like I said, I told you earlier, I'm sick and tired of this feud. This feud needs to end. Have Ambrose go into something else, and have Miz fight somebody new. And who that is, who knows. But like I said, I'm glad it's over with. I'm hoping that is the end tonight, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. Yeah.
First of all, and I know DJ hates this, and because DJ hates it, it's gotten to me over time. Came out first.
Yeah, I hate that too.
It just shouldn't. Not only is that in general an issue for me, but with the Miz being a heel, second, because with him being a heel, Ambrose on the ramp, and then the Miz Taraj could come in and attack him from behind. Heel heat right there.
Yeah, you put heat on the match immediately, and also
It seems like Miz comes out first a lot
Yeah.
even when he is champion. Feels like, for some reason the way his entrance is set up, he comes out first.
And also, I love how the Miztourage took a dive by Ambrose on the outside. It didn't even come off.
That's
great. I was like, how? How do you do that? Those are the greatest sunglasses of all time. They need to be on WWEshop.com right now. They'll never come off your face. You'll never lose them.
I'd buy them. I'd buy that for $1.
I would too. Yeah. DJ?
RoboCop reference in 2017.
You really think those glasses will be $1?
No, it was a RoboCop reference.
Okay.
It won't be $1. It'll probably be at least 10.
Well, they have beach towels for $24.99. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. WWE Shop's going to sell some stuff. I know they got Nakamura's jacket now. I'm sure that thing probably costs over $100. But
anyway,
but yeah,
I like the story of the Miztourage actually doing something, especially considering this was the first time they've actually been together in a title match. So it made sense. I also like the Miztourage, being with Miz, not because Miz elevates anyone, but Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas are kind of just there anyway, so it might as well be with the Intercontinental Champion. It wouldn't hurt anything. And I kind of like how the tables are kind of turned. Dean was kind of in the Miz's head for so long, and now the Miz is in his head with the Miztourage and whatever the heck Bo Dallas is wearing tonight. Like I just thought it was pretty amazing. Like I did think it was weird that Curtis Axel came out in a suit looking like Drew Gulak, and
looking better than Drew Gulak.
He's looking slick.
Bo Dallas came out looking like a hippie.
No, he looked like he just came from a Grateful Dead concert. I mean, he really been hanging out with Bill Walton.
I don't understand. Like what? Man, like why is that two different? Like I just thought that was weird. Like when I watched him come out, I thought that was weird. But I mean, it was a good match. I mean, Miz and Dean Ambrose are never really bad matches. But yeah, like you said, Brandon, I definitely want Miz to move on to something, better than Dean Ambrose. Like, I mean, I love Dean Ambrose; he's hilarious. But
and it's also it's crazy. Ambrose is kind of worn thin on me. I feel like his time as a babyface is starting to come to an end. I think it's a time for him to turn heel because that's what I thought he was going to be originally. Mm-hmm. When the Shield broke up, when there was rumors of them breaking up, I said, okay, Ambrose is going to be heel.
Well, that's what everyone expected. And then Seth turned heel, and we were like, wait, what?
Yeah, Seth was the guy. I was like, he is going to be a babyface. And Reigns, he kind of had a heel vibe to me too. He still does. More on that later. And
speaking of later's right now. We got Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns in an ambulance match. Every time I hear that ambulance, I think of freaking Scott Steiner.
Oh man!
Every single time.
Yeah, every time I think of that, I think of his excellent promos in TNA, his 66 2/3% chance of winning at Sacrifice, and talk about handing down Samoa Joe with Samoa Joe's gonna hunt him down with a machete, and he's gonna trap him with the Twinkie. I mean, great times. But Scott Steiner's a national treasure. He's a
I mean, I don't know how he ever got over. His promos sucked.
His promos sucked. He was like Sid. Sid's promos sucked. But the crowd went nuts.
If anybody got that joke,
what?
You're the greatest.
What?
If you got that joke. That joke I just made.
What was the joke?
Well, I can't give it away now. But it was a Joseph Park joke.
Oh, okay. Joseph Park was great, but I don't really remember a lot of his stuff, like in particular, because I know that he showed up and then he went away for a while, then he showed back up again.
Yeah, it was a recent Joseph Park joke, but into the match, I definitely liked it. I love that Strowman can get hit with like anything and be like, I'm fine, I'm good,
He's a
I'm
monster.
good, bro. Like you. Yeah, I love it. I think that's good booking of him. And I think as much as people hate, like I think it's funny. People hate that Roman gets beat up and comes back, or Cena gets beat up and comes back, but then they love it when he gets beat up.
Reigns,
why wouldn't they book him?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Plus, Reigns tells one of the best stories in the ring when he's getting beat up.
Reigns sells
He does
a
really
beating.
good job selling.
Yeah, Reigns sells a beating.
Yeah.
So much better than Cena ever has.
Yeah.
Cena's the same one who took a DDT on concrete against the Nexus in 2010 at SummerSlam and beat two guys 5 minutes later. Not 5 minutes later, like 2 minutes later, he beat two guys in succession to win the match. So, yeah, Hulk Hogan got shit on him. That's one thing I can always give Hogan credit. Hogan might have won a lot, but Hogan would make people think that his opponent was killing him, and that's something Cena doesn't have. But Reigns does a good job of selling beatings too, and he took one tonight.
Yeah, he definitely did. I definitely enjoyed this match. I felt like I liked it. I like freaking Strowman just carrying the steps with one hand.
Oh,
I was just like, okay,
he's a beast.
Okay. And then I love when Roman sent him through the little structure or whatever at the top of the stage. I thought that was pretty cool. I like that little spot. And then I thought it was funny when Roman freaking speared himself into the ambulance.
Oh,
I thought that was funny.
So funny. I sent you a text that just said safe.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming when they went over there the first time. I said, oh, my God. I talked to a friend of mine when I was watching. I said, I am going to laugh my ass off when either Reigns or Strowman slide into that ambulance. And that's how they lose the match. And
I feel like that takes sliding into DMs like a little too seriously.
Yeah. Slide to that ambulance, man. I mean, it was so funny. I felt like when that happened, that I wanted to mute the TV and play Yakety Sax from Benny Hill when he slipped in there, because it looked like something you'd see on a comedy show. It was hilarious. Yeah. I was laughing.
It was like at first, and I don't know about you, Brandon, but like because Cena would do this at times too, where he would like end up in the ambulance but not really be in the ambulance. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking like, okay, Roman's gonna crawl from under the bottom or something, right? And I was like, no, I was like, oh, it's over. Like, I was like, wait, what? Yeah. But I love the after the match too. I'm not gonna get into all of it, but I'm gonna, I guess, get into like the first part before we get into the improv. Or should I get into all of it? What do you think?
Let's just do the whole thing.
The whole thing. Freaking Roman, like Roman comes out of the ambulance, beats up Braun with the doors of the ambulance, throws him in the ambulance, freaking goes in the front of the ambulance, takes the driver out GTA style. Bro, I was dying when he threw him out of the ambulance and hopped in. I was dying. I thought I was watching a freaking GTA video. Like the way the dude sold it, the way Roman just got in the car like he just belonged in got in the ambulance like he just belonged. I was like, this is so freaking GTA, man. Like, I was freaking cracking up. But after that, he goes and he drives into the parking lot. And then he stops, thinks about it, and backs the ambulance into one of the
production trucks.
Yeah, the little freaking production trucks they drive around. And the ambulance freaking like basically dies.
Yeah, it crumpled.
Yeah, it basically like the back was just like crunched in.
Yeah.
And Roman, kind of struggles out. Freaking Kurt Angle's reaction, hilarious. Like
It looked like the reaction that he had probably when he got hacked on Twitter that one time.
Yeah, that was freaking funny. His reaction was hilarious, and then he got a little bit more serious. And then we get Heath Slater versus Curtis Axel. They pay him back to the arena. Heath Slater versus Curtis Axel. And, I get it because they were going to continue this whole thing, and that was fine. But I was like, bruh, I hate these impromptu matches that I don't give two craps about. So I was already kind of upset by Heath Slater versus Curtis Axel. And we go back to the ambulance, stuff, and they're trying to, pry freaking, they're trying to pry him out of the ambulance or whatever. And at first they were showing a split screen. Then they were like, you know what? Screw this match. Let's go back to the ambulance again.
Yeah. Didn't even see the finish of the match.
Yeah. The bell rings. JoJo announces the winner and everything. And freaking the match is over. We don't get to see a celebration or anything, so we don't know if it's really true.
We didn't even see how he won the match.
Yeah. And then freaking, I don't know why, but I was tripping because when the freaking fire truck came up, I was like, well, because I didn't actually see the other ambulance. So I'm like, bro, there ain't no fire. Get out of here. You're supposed to be doing your real job. like I was like, bro, there's no fire. Get out. Then they freaking had to pry, Braun out. Braun, freaking, I love Braun because this man he got no chill. He don't care about anything. This man just pushing people off as he probably like halfway dead, pushing people off, bleeding, just struggling to stumble, by the way. Shout out to this man selling. Struggling to stumble back to wherever the heck he went. I don't know where he went, but he went somewhere looking for Roman, and it was freaking funny. The only thing that was missing from this was I'm not finished with you. Like, that's the only thing that I was missing. Dang.
Well, the thing is, it was so funny when this was happening. I figured when they were trying to get him out of there, I thought he was going to bust through there and basically just stumble off and you start yelling, I'm not finished with you yet, with Roman and start looking for him. And that didn't happen. But I have got so much to say about this. It was, all right, first of all, Roman Reigns officially took the award for the world's dumbest babyface tonight. Guy gets beat by being stupid and then attempts to kill Braun Strowman via vehicular manslaughter. And then, all right, I'm looking and I'm like, all right, how is this guy supposed to be the top babyface in the company? I mean, Roman looks like the biggest jerk-off heel in the world. And Braun looks like a valiant babyface.
We talked about this, too, in the discussion with a couple marks. Like, we talked about this, too. Like, Roman, we can say that Roman's face, but like Roman's been playing heel since like at least since he beat the Undertaker.
Yeah, oh definitely. My pet name for Roman is Big Daddy Cool Reigns, because he basically is Diesel when he turned heel / tweener back in late '95 when he lost the WWF title to Bret Hart, where he basically came out the next night and said, "Look, if you're with me, if you wear the glove, I said I'm gonna stick by you, but if you don't like me, then hell with you." Stuff like that. He didn't, Reigns didn't come out and say that, but Reigns pretty much he has marked his territory and pretty much said, "I'm the big dog here now," and that just doesn't scream babyface to me. It's kind of like, like I said, you said it best, DJ. He really is a tweener. I want to like the guy, but honestly, WWE is really doing him no favors.
Well, this was I love this too because it's like this was like the closest we've gotten to Attitude Era in a long time.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think this was more similar to when the NWO came back and they like did that whole.
Oh yeah. The semi truck, and it's amazing that involved Roman's cousin, The Rock. The Rock nearly got
The Rock, for some reason, he, got hit by a freaking semi-truck and an ambulance. The ambulance pretty much disintegrated, and The Rock showed up the next week with some tape on his ribs. It's like the time when Triple H got dropped from that crane, and he showed up the next week with a big boo-boo Band-Aid on his forehead. I mean, that just shows you wrestling logic right there. But, honestly, sometimes I wonder why we take this stuff so seriously sometimes. But, that's what makes it fun. But, watching that, it was so funny. Somebody tweeted out when Jamie Noble took that crowbar and was trying to pry open the door. Somebody tweeted, Jamie Noble, crowbar master. He's trying his best. Jamie Noble was trying to get that door open, and they had to get the jaws of life to get that thing open. And, I mean, it was a cool visual, by the way. I have to mention this as well. It was a cool visual of when he was staggering away. He was bleeding, and he looked like he literally had been in a car wreck, and he was bleeding, and he was he was trying to pull himself up, and he was pulled up against a white bus, an all-white bus, and he smeared some of his blood on that bus, and it was kind of a cool visual to see that. It didn't feel like it almost felt like he was a monster that wouldn't quit, but it almost felt like it was almost like a valiant babyface. And the crowd actually, I don't know if you guys heard this, the crowd cheered pretty heavily when he staggered off, and it kind of made it seem like, man, this guy, he's a tough SOB. And just shows you this guy. Honestly, I'm pulling. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm pulling for him to get a title shot against Lesnar at SummerSlam, because I think that's a money match.
Yeah,
but
I'd agree.
Yeah, but, what do you think, Casey? I'm kind of, like I said, I wanted to go through everything I thought about that. That was something I, had a lot of thoughts about. What did you think?
I mean, first off, kind of going back to what we were talking about last night too, I love how Roman Reigns really has been running heel since kind of Mania. He still books Reigns as the face and Strowman as the heel, and I'm like, hashtag WWE logic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you remember the night that he threw Reigns off that loading dock, and you heard massive "Thank you, Strowman," and "You deserve it" chants directed towards your supposed top guy in your company. I mean, it's unbelievable. And the thing that's so crazy is Reigns is a better wrestler at this point in his singles run than Cena was when he first started as the guy in 2005.
Yeah, well, I've always said if they turn Reigns heel, he'd probably be the top heel.
Oh, absolutely. Not even close.
But I honestly think it's smarter for him to just do what he's doing now, because as soon as he turns heel, people are going to be like, yeah, we love Roman. Yeah. So,
it is crazy because it's kind of like with Cena. People wanted Cena to turn heel for so long. And if they ever teased that he might turn heel, the crowd popped like crazy. But I just, like I said, honestly, with Roman, I think if he was to turn heel, I think the crowd would be 100% against him. I think it'd be an initial pop, but I think once that pop, or once that happiness that he turned heel evaporates, I think then you'd have full blown hatred.
Yeah. But anyway, I did love Strowman just taking the chair shots like nothing.
Oh yeah.
And I love
just holding his arm up.
Strowman's my guy. Strowman's my guy.
I love how Braun no-sells 3 chair shots, and the fans love it. But guys in New Japan no-sell an entire match, and the casual fans are like, this sucks. He's not selling. What?
That stuff doesn't even bother me anymore. You really think about it, because I mean that's almost like the norm in wrestling now. People get hit with everything but the damn kitchen sink, and they still kick out at 2.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, unless you're in CZW.
oh God, they use the kitchen sink and some.
They just use the glass from the kitchen sink.
Speaking of CZW, we got TOD 16 coming.
yeah, we do.
Oh,
would ever watch it? Like he's afraid.
I am. It's true.
It wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. It's not. Don't be a child. Be a man.
I can honestly say that I have probably watched maybe a very little of anything CCW. I definitely have not seen that special that DJ was telling me about that he was going to watch or had watched.
Man, CZW, man. Oh, it's so gruesome, but you can't stop watching it. Like,
yeah, it's almost like Grindhouse. I mean, it's almost like just like a horror movie wrestling. That's pretty much exactly what it is.
Well, I do think it has kind of, I don't want to say been watered down, but like you watch the older CZW stuff and you see guys with like chunks taken out of their arm, like, or whatever. I don't feel like you see it that much anymore. Like, yeah, they have like the barbed wire and the glass, but I haven't really seen anything like that. I'm like, oh God, no, oh.
Except for light tubes.
Well, didn't they use a chainsaw one time when? Didn't they use a chainsaw when I think wasn't Ambrose in CCW?
Yeah, well, because I saw that, and then I remember he did like an interview, and they were and he was like talking about that match, and he's like, "That was real. You're an idiot. I would have been."
I know. When I saw it, I just kind of just was like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, how is anybody going to believe that this is even remotely close to being real? I mean, yeah. I mean, if you use a damn chainsaw on somebody, you coming back.
Well, then again, we talked about it before. CZW. Oh no, they're going too far, guys. Nope. No, wrestling's fake. They're going too far. like the people who hate wrestling. Oh no, they can't do that. Nah, it's too far.
Yeah.
And people love wrestling. Oh God.
Yeah, well, I tell you, you just can't win with some people. That's right.
But
AC, did you have any more thoughts on that? I mean, because I felt like you were kind of still going.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll kind of go into the Kurt Hawkins Heath. Am I the
what a match, man?
Am I the only one when they were waiting for the Jaws of Life who was thinking, don't have a key? Like, pulled out, but like, I'm sure he's still over there. Like, I'm sure he got a key. Like, no, like, it's not.
He's still selling it like a referee.
Like the door that they were trying to open wasn't even like crunched or anything. It was just locked, and I'm like, y'all can just get the key.
Yeah, I thought that too.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like the time. I don't know if you guys remember this. This is one of my earliest memories of wrestling, or in WWF was the Undertaker locked the Ultimate Warrior in an airtight casket one time. Yeah. And it was scary as hell when you're a kid when you see somebody locked in a casket like that, and you have all these officials out there struggling to open up the casket, and they had to fake that they couldn't open up the casket because it was really easy to open it, but they could not find a way to open the casket, and they had to pretend like they couldn't open it. And that's what I feel like they were doing with that door. I feel like they were like, okay, they can open this up a lot quicker than this without having to get the jaws of life.
But like I get what they were, to build up that, Strowman's a beast, he's a monster, whatever.
An animal. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Wrong guy.
The
But
monster among men.
I felt like this felt like a Raw segment to me. This didn't feel like something that should have been on a pay-per-view. This should have been something on the build-up to a pay-per-view, actual pay-per-view. And then what really point of the impromptu match? Like you could the match. This really all this boils down to is just a slap in the face to Kurt Hawkins and Heath Slater.
I think you summed that up perfectly.
It's there was no point to having this impromptu match. I love his face effects gimmick, but don't put him on the show if you're not even going to show half the match.
Yeah, and also it was kind of weird. You really think about it. I mean, it's kind of like it was almost a buffer between the ambulance match and the championship match. But when you think about it, it's kind of like the bathroom break match before you get to the main event. But at the same time, it was kind of a throwaway match, but you are focusing on something that happened in the back that people probably are interested in seeing. So you really can't say it was a bathroom break for them.
Well, I mean, if we wanted some buffering, they could just add some buffering in.
Absolutely.
WWE Network has enough of that.
But
well, let's move on to the main event, I suppose.
Yeah. So
what?
Yeah, this.
Shall we move on to the main event, Casey, or do you still have words? Because I mean,
no. Let's go on to this epic main event.
The epic encounter of the first kind. We had Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe. Before Paul Heyman can even finish his introduction, Samoa Joe jumps right on this man, and I loved it. I loved it. I was like, get him. Yeah, hurt him. Break his neck, beat him up, break his neck. Then Mark Henry came out. That's what I do.
Split his wig.
Yeah, the cold suit. Oh, no.
Get your wig split. Wrong one. Get your wig split.
Wrong one. Sorry, not the cold suit. He beat him down before the match, and then Brock Lesnar got in there. He was smiling a little bit, but he was still like halfway dead. He did a Uranagi through an announce table. I don't know how that announce table broke like that. Brock's just that big of a man, I guess.
Brock's a big fella.
I mean, he dropped from like 6 inches. And the table just was like ripped.
Yeah, I was gonna say usually those tables are made of iron, usually. You had to put a lot of force into it, but that was not a big slam. But that table disintegrated.
But I love freaking even when Brock came in and he was like, I'm fine. Joe jumps right back on him when the bell rings. Like I love that. I thought that was a good touch. Plus he continues to build Joe as kind of the heel, that he is. I like Joe, and Joe like reminds me of like the opposite of what Kevin Owens is. Cause like Joe is like, I'm gonna jump on you before the match starts. Kevin Owens is like, I'm gonna play mind games with you before the match starts. So I really like this. I thought this was a good match. Freaking Brock Lesnar coming out with that freaking F5. Was it out of the Coquina clutch or no? He was almost out on the Coquina clutch, but then I know he came back with the F5 just out of nowhere, like he wasn't halfway passed out before.
Yeah, that made no sense to me. That ending was just weird.
Wait, what?
I didn't.
Like, how does that work?
Because...
How am I halfway passed out and I can hit F5? Now, I would understand if he, went for the F5 and maybe just kind of dropped him and like tried it, tried to, come back, but then, he couldn't completely come back, then had to hit another one or something like that.
Yeah.
But like, he just hit like an F5 he was like halfway out of it.
Yeah, a full force F5, and that was the finish. I just did not understand that. I know Brock is a freak of nature. I know he's an absolute monster, but that made no sense because he was turning purple. And all of a sudden, he picks him up and puts the F5. I thought that should have been maybe a false finish, have like a 2 and 7/8 count where he, just gets the shoulder up, and then Brock has to hit a second F5 to actually win the match. I didn't expect that to be the finish because, I mean, I was a fan also of how the match started too. DJ, I definitely agree. I love that Joe was the aggressor and Brock was the hunted, being the champion, and Joe jumped on him quick and just made him really. I mean, Brock at the matches he's had, that's probably the biggest fight he's had since he got absolute squashed by Goldberg at Survivor Series last year. He got rocked. He got rocked. Got put in the cocaine clutch a couple times. He got hit with some pretty good shots. Drilled through the announce table. He was speared in the barricade. I mean, it was. He took some good shots, and Brock. It wasn't your typical Brock match where Brock suplexes a guy about a baker's dozen, and then hits him with the F5, and that's it. So I was a fan. I did not like the abrupt finish, like you said, with the cocaine clutch, him halfway out on his feet, and then hitting that F5. But Joe did not look bad in this match. They did not make Joe look like a complete afterthought or a speed bump. Joe, especially if you look at that last shot where Joe was he was on there on the mat and he was getting up on his feet and he looked like he wanted more. And I like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Casey, if you feel like I don't know, how do you feel about the match?
Oh, I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant.
Okay.
Just a little, just a tiny. This is my problem. Like I like how it started out, like you guys. I do. Problem when I say I hate when guys are booked too strong. What the hell? All this build up, and it ends with one F5.
Yeah.
WWE is trying to tell me, a guy who has followed Samoa Joe for a long time, that one of the toughest guys in the business in Samoa Joe with one F5. No. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Joe was on the offense for 90% of that match.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to be a Lesnar hater, but that's just booking him way too strong.
Yeah.
For a timer. Okay, if he was there all the time, then I would be like, okay, you can book him that strong, but there all the time.
Yeah, it's his first match in 4 months.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
Joe to win, but I didn't expect him to lose after one F5.
Yeah, made him kind of look like a jabroni for a minute, but you really think about it, Joe really did dominate the match, and Lesnar had to hit an F5 to beat him after getting nearly choked out.
That makes it even worse for me because he was in control and then one F5.
Yeah, well, it really showed that Joe was in control. He just took his eye off the ball for just a split second, and even though it really made no sense, the fact that he was almost choked out, and then he has F5 full force, that did not make sense. But I can see what you're talking about, Casey. I agree with you. I think that really, I'm a fan of Joe's too. I feel like Joe was really good in TNA. I wish he'd come in maybe a year or two sooner to WWE because I think honestly there's money in that guy as a world champion. I think he can be a guy that can really have some great matches with a lot of top guys on the main roster. And like I said, if it was up to me, I would have had Joe win the belt tonight because Brock as a long-term champion has no value in my eyes. And this is coming from somebody who was a huge Brock Lesnar fan for many, many years. And he kind of fell out of favor with me in my eyes after he got suspended last year, got popped for the drug test in the UFC fight. And also that absolute wet fart of a match against Ambrose last year at WrestleMania 32. So that's just how I feel. I don't know, DJ. How you feel about? I don't really know how you feel about
Um, I I I like. I mean, I think Lesnar has like draw appeal. Like I think he can draw, but like I hate him as like the main champion
Lesnar.
because simply because they don't do anything with him as the main champion. And my biggest issue is that when Lesnar's off of TV, it's the perfect time to promote your other championships. But what do? Not that. They don't ever put the Intercontinental Championship on in the main event, or the U.S. title in the main event, or the tag team titles in the main event, or the cruiserweight title, God forbid, in the main event when Lesnar's not on the show, or not when Lesnar doesn't have a match for 4 months. Well, that means you got 3 to 4 pay-per-views that you could fill with with these other championships that you want to feel prestigious. That's what I don't like about Lesnar.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily Lesnar's fault, but
yeah. Well, the thing is, it comes down to the guy who books the matches, the guy who makes the big decisions, and we all know who that guy is, and that's Vince McMahon. It's Vince McMahon. It's his call. I don't understand why Lesnar had to win the belt in the first place. Honestly, if it was up to me, I wouldn't have had Lesnar and Goldberg fight for the belt in the first place. And I don't like part-time champions because it gives me PTSD flashbacks of Hulk Hogan in WCW, and where Hogan would show up every probably third pay-per-view to defend his belt. So I don't like it. I mean, and the thing is also when Brock goes home, we don't see him for about 3 consecutive months, and no mention of him is made. And we don't even see the belt. We don't see promos of him. We see nothing. It's just I don't get it. I don't like it. I think that a champion, I think the world champion should be somebody who actually shows up on the show on a regular basis, not a periodic, high and by type deal.
Well, I'm going back to the finish again, and I'm going to say something, and it might make some Lesnar fans upset, and that's okay, because I don't care. I honestly don't feel like back to the finish with the F5. I don't see the F5 really as that powerful of a move. Personally, I think suplexes feel like a more, dominant move, more, damaging move. So that's part of why, like, one F5 to me just doesn't feel like it should take Samoa Joe out. It's just a turn and a fall. That's really all it is. He's not pushing you into the canvas. He's not really slamming you down with his body. Like and that's maybe me just looking too much into wrestling, and I shouldn't. I should just enjoy it, because that's what we preach on this channel. Just enjoy wrestling. Honestly, I don't feel like the F5 is that powerful of a move. Again, to take a guy like Samoa Joe out. Like, if it was like a jobber, okay, like you can take them out with like usually, but Samoa Joe, no. This was a terribly booked finish. Joe should. I'm gonna say Joe should have won the title again, but
yeah, I agree.
Well, like I said, if it was my decision, I would have had him win the belt. But I understand from his business point of view why he didn't, because I am about 100% sure that the end game for Lesnar's reign as Universal Champion is going to be at the hands of Roman Reigns. Whether it be at SummerSlam or next year in New Orleans at WrestleMania. And I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go and kind of piggyback on what you said, Casey. I like the F5 as a finisher, but it is not nearly as deadly a finisher as the Samoa Joe's real finisher, the one he doesn't use anymore, the Muscle Buster.
Yeah.
The Muscle Buster is probably one of my favorite finishing moves of all time. I've always loved that finishing move. It's a shame he doesn't use it anymore. He uses the Kikina Clutch instead, which is cool, but it's basically a form of a sleeper. So I mean,
I definitely agree.
yeah, I just I don't know. Like I said, I really think I really want them to get the belt off Lesnar at SummerSlam, but if I was a betting man, I would say that he's going to keep the belt till next year at WrestleMania, which I think is a damn shame because that only means they'll probably have 2 more title matches between now and WrestleMania.
We'll see, and I get that the end game is probably Roman, but then that I feel like that kills what we want because with Roman, like we've been saying, we want him to turn heel, but Lesnar's a heel, so automatically we know right there, Roman's not going to go heel. And if they're planning Lesnar versus Roman, to have a face and you have to have a heel. Very rarely do you have a big match with a face versus a face or a heel versus a heel, which you could do if you book it right. It's always the good guy versus the bad guy. So,
yep.
And not Razor Ramon. But yeah, we want him to be heel, and this takes that away.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I really think, and I'm going off on a tangent on Vince McMahon again. I really think Vince thinks that he is trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. He's trying to make Roman the next John Cena, who, what I mean by that is he's trying to make him his main guy. And, he might not get cheered by everybody, but he's going to be the guy who's going to carry this company. And the thing is, I don't know if it's going to work this time like Cena did. Because Cena, there's one thing Cena can do that really is really unbelievable. And the one thing I really respect him for, he is able to win crowds over. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I've seen him win crowds over pretty remarkably, win crowds over. And the only time I've really seen Roman win a crowd over since his return from that awful hernia that he had back in 2014 was when he won the WWE title in Philadelphia back at the end of December of 2015 against Sheamus, where he laid out Vince with a Superman punch. I feel like the crowd was with him, but then they completely squandered everything after, and they tried to put him against Triple H, and Triple H did everything but, set an orphanage on fire, and Triple H still got cheered against Roman. It just, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I think with John Cena, I think he does get crowds on his side, but I feel like it's when it's more of him just being himself, or not necessarily. Vince told me to say this, say this, say this, say this, say this. Him going out and going, you know what? I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm going to react to them, because that Cena does. He does react to the crowd well.
He rolls with the punches.
Yeah. So I think for that way he can win over crowds more. I think just don't let Roman doesn't have that freedom enough as John Cena does to kind of, when he wants to, say what he wants.
Yeah. It's a prime example. I want to bring this up really quick, and I know we're getting long on time, but with Roman, I've seen him in the past. He's handled crowds better recently, but I think about like a year or so ago, he had a promo where people were chanting "boring" during his promo, and he basically commented, "This ain't boring, baby. This is real life."
and stuff, and it was just really lame. It was Cena. Cena just kind of lets them get it out of his system, and then he'll say something kind of like halfway, like, "Oh, y'all are fired up," and stuff like that. It's kind of repetitive, but he knows what he's doing. And like I said, Cena's just so good at going on the off the cuff and off the fly. You can tell he gets free range on his promos. You can tell he gets to do what he wants to do, and say, he'll follow a script, but he's gonna if he feels that it's gonna be able to feel better to do this. And I did one of the best promos he ever did in his entire career. Cena was the night of the Slammies in 2013, where they were in Seattle, and Daniel Bryan was in the ring for that championship ascension ceremony. And Cena cut probably the absolute best promo of his entire career, where basically they were talking about his history of Randy Orton and him talking about how Daniel Bryan worked for his championship and Randy Orton was given his championship by Triple H. It was so good where it was able to blend, kayfabe and, the storyline into a little bit of reality, which I think is something that Roman can do that. Roman has a good personality. I've seen him and stuff and other things outside WWE where he is a very natural, funny, down-to-earth guy. But in WWE, he just seems so unnatural and so, really unlikable. And it's just kind of, I don't know. Yeah.
Going on that, go back, and I said this on one of our other discussions with about Roman. If you go back to like early NXT episodes that are actually on the network now, so you can go check them out. Different gimmicks, you could see more of his personality coming out, and they worked better. But he's so robotic now, and it's still that guy from the Shield.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he hasn't changed his music, he hasn't changed his outfits, he hasn't changed. He just I feel like Rollins and Ambrose have, adapted and adapted new facets to the characters, even though Ambrose has really taken the wacky, crazy guy to a whole nother level now. And, Rollins is finally morphed into a pretty decent babyface after being, a babyface by default after last year, him getting turned on by Triple H. But Reigns is this Shield guy. And, now he's the guy who had retired The Undertaker. So that should give him a little bit of heat. But at the same time, go ahead.
With Roman is, like, if you take a picture of him in his ring gear from like back when he was in the Shield,
and
you take a picture of him in his ring gear now, other than maybe the color on the vest, the difference. Like, that's how when you can't tell the difference from ago to now or whatever, you haven't been updating on Cena, like, he stays that same character in general, with like new colored shirts and like
yeah, he comes up with a lot of shirts.
Like, Roman is just the same exact thing. Like, the logo on his chest will change a color. Like,
yeah. But right quick, I'm gonna. I feel like me and you have taken over the show, and DJ, I think he went and got him a snack. But DJ, I'm gonna bring you back in really quick. I kind of wish that Roman Reigns had kind of like more of the range or more of the freedom to do his own thing promo wise, like a Cena or like a Jericho. And I think Chris Jericho is one of the best examples of somebody who's able to adapt and tweak his character and keep himself fresh. I wish Roman had a chance to tweak his character more and change his look. And I think that would give him a fresh outlook and give him some fresh opponents too if he turned heel.
How do you feel about that, DJ? I know you're a fan of Reigns, and I want to like the guy myself, but the WWE and Vince McMahon do such a piss poor job of presenting this guy who has a hell of a lot of capability and a very good main event wrestler. And I just feel like they're kind of squandering that. How do you feel about that, DJ?
Apologies, I am struggling. I'm a little tired. Plus, I
Yeah,
have to work tomorrow, so
we probably need to wrap
I'm
this up
thinking
pretty
about
soon.
everything. But I mean, and plus we talked about Roman a whole lot. I
Yes,
feel like
we have.
recently anyway. So
We have.
I hate to repeat myself, even though oftentimes we do anyway. But I feel like, I feel like he definitely could, but it's one of those things where he's just too scripted right now. It's not comfortable for him, and I think he's done better now just having a direction to go with rather than before where it was like, we don't know where we want you to go. So, and that makes it difficult for him to respond because, well, I'm supposed to be a face, but they don't like me. And at times they've just made him say, well, just react to them. And I think that's helped him out a lot. I mean, I definitely think he can, react however he needs to react to make it work. But I think too, you can't make him go out there with a completely scripted promo and expect for people to actually get behind it.
Yeah. That's a problem in modern day WWE. That's something that I think is the reason why a lot of people look back with fondness back in the 80s or maybe even the 90s, up until like the early 2000s. That's when a lot of the promos became super, super obviously scripted. And, some of the greatest promos of all time were not scripted. I mean, you think about it, the Hard Times promo by Dusty Rhodes, the Austin 316 speech by Stone Cold Steve Austin, the initial NWO promo at Bash to the Beach 96 with Hogan and Hall and Nash. Just stuff like that were iconic stuff that we remember for, the remainder of the time. We have, that footage to look at. But, summing up what I'm trying to say here, with the over-scripted promos in WWE, it's something that is a epidemic and something that really sucks about modern day WWE is I really think these guys should have a little more freedom with what they say. I'm not saying they should go out there and just say whatever the hell they want and, and not get any, repercussions if they say anything a little too far. But, at least give the guys some bullet points. But they don't need to have promos that are scripted where they sound unnatural and sound like they're just saying stuff that they just, it does not sound like they would even come remotely close to what they would actually say.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But I think that'll do it for our Great Balls of Fire review.
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot.
But I think it was definitely, a good show. I'm kind of curious to see if they'll keep this show next year or if they'll kind of change it or what's going to happen. Because we've seen pay-per-views come one year and then leave the next. So, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at ICW_podcast. Also, you can find the Facebook page. I think if you type in facebook.com/ICW podcast, I think it'll come up. If I'm not mistaken. Or you can just search the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast and it should come up as well. Because we just got a new Facebook page, so I'm trying to pimp that out as well. Casey, what are you saying to me?
You could put the link in the
I don't have the link yet, so you have to shut up and you can put it in the description. What you could do anyway, because I still got your links.
I put the description or put it in the description yesterday. So you
put the description in the link. Yeah, exactly. Shut up. Anyway,
we're shooting. We're shooting here, folks.
We'll see you guys next time. We hope you guys enjoyed. This was your Great Balls of Fire review on the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast. It's the greatest pay-per-view of all time, baby. It is. I'm just saying.